What's up, YouTube family? This is K-Steps with Undiluted TV, and I'm back with an update on Nipsey Hussle. And I want to talk about some controversy and other stuff that's surrounding the whole Nipsey Hussle case. As of, I believe it was late yesterday, they have identified the suspect in the shooting, and I want to go right into this. The first article is from CNN, and I want to go right into this article and get started. And Monday night, they had a huge visual by the store on Crenshaw, by Marathon Clothing Store, and it was thousands. I think they said it ran close to 10,000 people. It was thousands of people out there, and it was so many people out there, and it got kind of, you know, with that many people around, it's gonna automatically get kind of out of hand. To the point where, of course, they had to have police show up in riot gear and all of that to try to contain the crowd. Somebody had reported that there were shots fired, but they found that was not true. That was a false report. That there were no shots fired, and it was just a huge scene, a huge crowd, and it was very emotional. And so yeah, the police were called in with riot gear and all of that. So I'm gonna let you hear this clip. Again, this is a article from CNN. It was by Christina McSorus and Joe Sutton, and it was updated 6:01 a.m. this morning, Tuesday, April the 2nd, 2019. And the heading is: Los Angeles police have identified a suspect in the killing of Nipsey Hussle. And so let you hear this clip. It's loading, folks. It says multiple people were injured, including some in critical condition, during a vigil for Nipsey Hussle. People were seen running on a live signal from a CNN affiliate at one point during the memorial. And on the clip, you can see people just take off and start spreading out in all directions and running.
Mass panic. When we were watching it from footage overhead, it was literally people scattered in all directions.
A majority of the injuries were from trampling. The Los Angeles Police Department was on modified tactical alert during the memorial. Thank you, black people. They were expecting violence and didn't get any. There were no gunshot wounds to any of the injured, the LAPD tells CNN.
Nipsey was our hero. He was a champion to the underserved. He was a role model to our youth.
The Grammy-nominated Hussle was killed Sunday outside his LA clothing store. Police have named Eric Holder, 29, as a suspect in Hussle's killing. And that's it for that little clip. Of course, I'll leave this article in the description box, and you can see this little clip for yourself. It's not a whole lot to it. Hold on, let me stop him from talking. Okay, now let me read some of the article to you. Again, it's Los Angeles police have identified a suspect in the killing of Nipsey Hussle. A suspect has been named in the shooting death of Nipsey Hussle. The Los Angeles Police Department announced Monday night, shortly after a memorial to the rapper ended in a stampede that injured multiple people, including 2 critically. Eric Holder, 29, is wanted for homicide. The LAPD announced early on Tuesday. Hussle was shot Sunday near the clothing store he owned in Los Angeles. In a statement, the police said Holder walked up to Hussle and 2 other men as they stood outside a business in a strip mall on West Lawson Boulevard. He fired multiple times at them and then ran to a nearby alley where a vehicle driven by an unidentified female was waiting for him, police said. Holder entered from the passenger side and the vehicle fled, attorneys said. Hussle died in the shooting and the 2 other men were injured and transported to the hospital. Detectives have worked tirelessly and are now asking for the public's help in locating the suspect in this case. Holder was last seen in a white 4-door 2016 Chevy Cruze with a California license plate 7RJD742, the police department said on Twitter. Anyone with information related to his whereabouts or this deadly shooting is urged to contact South Bureau Homicide, and they list the telephone number. Okay, let me see what else they say about him. Then they go on to talk about, in this particular article, that's pretty much all that they say about Eric Holder, the suspect. They go on to talk about how heartbroken the community is, and you know, then there's one quote where somebody says, "I urge calm and a period of reflection. Violent retaliation for this event will not be tolerated. For healing to occur, even from this terrible incident, justice must be sought through legal means and community peace must be found." That was coming from Los Angeles County Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas. And then they go on to talk about some of the things that we've already talked about in our last show on Nipsey, about his work in the community, his work with Vector 7, his work with STEM. They have a quote here from the Los Angeles Police Commissioner Steve Subaroff, where he talked on Twitter about him and Hussle had a meeting scheduled where they were going to talk about ways that, you know, they could stop gang violence and they could help kids. So and it goes on to talk about his whole career and how his career started. That's what this CNN article talks about. Like I said, it doesn't give much information on Eric Holder. Not much information at all. So I kept digging. Now I'm waiting for this second page to load. So just give it a minute. We're waiting for this second page to load so we can find out a little bit more about Eric Holder. Okay, and this is coming from heavy.com. And you guys will find, if you start doing your own research, you will find that a lot of times you can find more news and more facts about situations from these outsources. Because mainstream media is only going to tell you as much as they want you to know. And they're going to only tell you what's going to push their narrative and their agenda and the agendas of those who control mainstream media. But let's get into this heavy.com article about Eric Holder. It says, by Jessica McBride, updated April 2nd, 2019 at 4:28 a.m. So she was up in the wee hours of the morning doing some research. Eric Holder, aka Shitty Cuz. 5 fast facts you need to know. And it's got a picture of him attached to a picture of the Marathon clothing store. Eric Holder, a 29-year-old Los Angeles-based aspiring rapper and alleged Crips gang member, is accused in the murder of popular rapper and businessman Nipsey Hussle. The suspect is at large, and police are seeking the public's help in finding him. Now, I'm still having a little bit of a problem with why they still haven't found him. Where's he hiding? Everybody loved Nipsey. His picture, his name, everything is out there now. So why, and from other reports that I've had and other things that I've heard, everybody's looking for him. The LAPD, the FBI, Homeland Security. So there's some major folks looking for him, and they can't find him. And as early as yesterday afternoon, I was hearing that the streets knew who it was, that the streets had already identified him, and they already knew who this guy was. And there's surveillance tape of him getting in a car, and him, that was driven by, some unknown female. And nobody knows where he is. They still can't find him. Okay, let's continue. Nipsey, the 33-year-old musician and entrepreneur, was fatally shot outside his clothing store in Los Angeles. Okay, we know that. Let's get to some stuff we don't know. People on social media had identified the suspect earlier, April 1st. So social media had already identified him. Social media had already put out there who he was. They had identified him as a man who goes by the street name Shitty Cuz and Fly Mac. And photos of the suspect, a wannabe rapper, matched the man known by those nicknames, including his neck tattoo. Because you'll see a picture in the video of him, but he has a very prominent neck tattoo. You can see photos and videos from his Instagram and Facebook pages throughout this article, but be forewarned that the language in some of them is graphic and disturbing. In 2018, a blog called him up-and-coming West Coast underground hip-hop artist Fly Mac. So there very well may be another connection to Nipsey. A now deleted YouTube video of his once read, first single of the hot up-and-coming rapper Fly Mac. West Coast-based rapper has been at it for a couple of years now and is ready for his big break. However, he doesn't appear to have had much of a following on social media or otherwise. LAPD wrote, Eric Holder is wanted for homicide in the shooting of Nipsey Hussle. He was last seen in a 2016 white four-door Chevy Cruze. Anyone with information of his whereabouts or about this shooting, and they give you the number to call. Okay, now they're showing a picture of the guy known as Shitty Cruze and the guy known as Eric Holder, and yeah, they look a whole lot alike. And on this person's Twitter account, it says Eric Holder, aka Shitty Cuz, is now wanted for homicide in the shooting of Nipsey Hussle. So on this person's Twitter, they put up a picture of Shitty Cuz and a picture of Eric Holder, and it says Eric Holder, aka Shitty Cuz. So the streets knew who this dude was. They knew who this dude was as early as yesterday afternoon. A press release released around 10:30 p.m. on April 1st read, detectives have worked tirelessly and are now asking for the public's help in locating the suspect in this case. The suspect has been identified as 29-year-old Eric Holder of Los Angeles. Okay, now they got some more pictures of Shitty Cuz, Eric Holder, aka Shitty Cuz. They've got more pictures of him. Now it says, here's what we know so far about Eric Holder, the suspect named in Nipsey Hussle's death. Okay, and these are those 5 fast facts that they were talking about. All right, number 1. Police sources said the suspect, whose social media indicates was allegedly a member of the Crips, was someone Nipsey Hussle knew. Okay, we see him here with the blue bandana on, and we see a lot of his tattoos. Some sources have alleged that Holder is a member of the Crip street gang. Hussle has long been associated with the Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips, one of Los Angeles' largest street gangs. Facebook post on a page under Holder's rap name Fly Mac shows him with a Crips tattoo. Bro, stay fly crippin', a woman wrote under one photo from 2016. Now, this is kind of a description of how this whole thing went down. Police said the shooting unfolded when, around 3:20 p.m. on March 31st, 2019, 3 male adults were standing in front of a business in a strip mall in the 3400 block of West Slauson Boulevard. The suspect walked up to the men and fired numerous shots at them, police wrote police. The victims were struck and fell to the ground. The suspect then ran southbound through an adjacent alley to a awaiting vehicle. The suspect entered the passenger side of the vehicle and fled the area. The vehicle was driven by an unidentified female. I saw in another YouTube video right after this happened that there was some young woman who came up to Nipsey while they were out there standing and asked him to take a picture with her son. And that picture is floating around on the internet. I'll find it. If I can find it, it'll be a part of this video. And this was only like minutes before the shooting took place. Some strange unidentified female walked up to Nipsey and asked him to take a picture with her son. And he took the picture. And if I'm not mistaken, the picture's on the internet, and I will try to find it. And this was only moments before the shooting took place. And a lot of people were wanting to know, who was this female? Where did she come from? Okay, let's keep on. Police sources tell the New York Daily News that the suspect was someone Nipsey knew. While the shooting could be classified as gang-related because of the rapper's previous connection to a gang, sources told the Daily News that the motive is believed to have stemmed from a personal deal gone wrong, rather than a rival gang member taking a shot at Hussle. But both of them are associated with the Crips. A source also told the Los Angeles Times that the shooting was possibly not tied to a larger gang dispute. A source also told the Los Angeles Times that the shooting was possibly not tied to a larger gang dispute. Just hours before he was killed, Nipsey Hussle tweeted, "Having strong enemies is a blessing." And I really don't think he was talking about Eric Holder. Okay, here are more pictures of Eric. Then they've got that real grainy video, I think, from TMZ. Yeah, that real grainy video from TMZ of the whole thing that was supposed to had happened. Okay, fact number 2. Eric Holder's Instagram page calls himself a boss king and cool young king. And they have more pictures of him. More stuff that he said on his his Twitter and Instagram. He posted, this is talking about Holder. He posted several videos to his page. One of his posts read Slauson Avenue. Nipsey died at Slauson and Crenshaw where he had the clothing store. Okay, fact number 3. Shitty Cuz had a SoundCloud account that called himself The Great. Although Nipsey Hussle had made it big in the rap world, recording with some of the music industry's biggest names, Shitty Cuz was trying to make his way in the same field, per his SoundCloud account, which you can access here. And then it's got a link that you can, access his SoundCloud account. For bookings and to submit beats, email FlyMac60. Plenty niggas hate cuz I'm the great. I'm a West Coast artist, the page says. A Facebook page in the name Fly Mac contains a few photos of Eric Holder and was created 2 days before the murder. 2 days before the murder, all of a sudden a new Facebook page under the name Fly Mac was created with pictures of Eric Holder on it. The page was coded musician band. Another Facebook page with the same photos, one of which was posted in 2018, says the suspect went to Crenshaw High. 2 days before the shooting, all of a sudden, he's supposedly creating all of these Facebook pages, putting his picture and information about him out there. 2 days before the shooting, before the murder. He wrote in 2016 on Facebook, this is another page. This is his original Facebook page. I ain't been doing shit out here in Long Beach. Staying out the way and keeping to myself. And talking to no one. Then they've got a couple of SoundCloud clips on here. Nipsey Hussle has spoken openly about the Crips. When you around 100 Crips, you still a blood. When 40 Glock and them run up on you, you still a blood. And I ain't talking about Wayne. I got respect for their movement, and I like the dude as an artist. But just saying on some gangbang shit. When you go to the county jail and you walk in the court tank and it's 50 of your enemies, you still gonna say the 60s. Or you're not a gangbanger. Your homie's gonna hear about it, beat you up, kick you in your ass, and you was for nothing. I know in the real world in this shit, a lot of niggas wouldn't make it. So like I said, it's an overstanding I got about it. I look at it like these niggas is totally out of character. So I'm old school, so I didn't understand a word that he just said, but maybe some of y'all do. Okay, then it goes on to talk about more of his work, Destination Crenshaw, Vector 90, the interview that he had with Forbes that we talked about, where he talks about ignorance and self-destructiveness is the narrative that was pushed on us through music in our generation, and how he wanted to change that narrative and was changing it. In November, Hussle told Fox 11 that his goal is to leave a legacy and financial stability for his children. We playing the long game. We don't want the money to stop when we go. When we can't work no more, we want it to outlive us. We want it to be generational. So again, just like we talked about in the last video, this young man was talking about building economic power, was talking about building wealth in the black community, generational wealth, wealth that could be passed down from generation to generation to generation, teaching young people how to build legacies. Financial legacies that would be generational instead of all of this generational poverty. He was interested in building generational wealth. And that's what he told Fox. Number 4, the suspect, Eric Holder, is accused of snitching. And I've also heard this through the grapevine a couple of times yesterday, that he was a well-known snitch, that he was an informant, and that he was an informant on paper. And what is a snitch? What is an informant? Somebody that works with law enforcement. And it's also been said that he had a couple of bodies attached to his name. Yeah, that he had some bodies. So if he's a snitch and he's got some bodies, what is he doing running around killing folk in broad open daylight? In an area that's surrounded by cameras. And if you look at that grainy, fuzzy TMZ footage, you see that there are a lot of people around. They're at a strip mall on a Sunday. Again, number 4, the suspect, Eric Holder, is accused of snitching. TMZ is reporting that the gunman had a conversation with Hustle before the shooting in which Hustle accused him of snitching. Authorities have not confirmed that account. Of course you haven't. Demetrius Shipp had this to say: no conspiracy, no hit. Just a low-life rat who left and came back to do the devil's work. Please try to control your wild internet brain. Some of us know him personally, and it's annoying as hell, just like someone telling me about Pac who wasn't there. You a fan. When you succeed in the black community and try to stay in that community and have to rub shoulders with low-life scum, a known rat did this. It wasn't a hit. No one leaves and comes back to do a premeditated hit. It was no Dr. Sebi conspiracy. The guy is a known rat and was asked to leave and returned to do his dirty work. However, according to police and witnesses, the shooting appeared to be planned. The gunman, described as a black male in his 20s, shot Nipsey Hussle and 2 others outside of the store before running on foot to a nearby car that was waiting for him. If it wasn't planned, if it wasn't premeditated, then why was there a car in that alley waiting for him? It is not clear if anyone else was involved in the shooting. Police have only identified Eric Holder as a suspect in connection with the slaying. Now you got footage, you got pictures of him, you got people telling you what street names he go by. You know, you got all of this Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all this social media information. You know, you got license plates. You know that it was an unidentified female. You know what direction he left in. All of this, but you still can't find him. And if he was a snitch, a well-known snitch, an informant, then there are people in the hood. Remember, this was Nipsey. Everybody loved him. Everybody in the hood loved this dude. There was no beefing going on. There was no gang-related beefing going on. From what I've heard, even this guy's own hood, his own neighborhood, is not condoning this. They're not co-signing this. Because look at all the heat that has come down on Los Angeles because of this. As if it's not enough, now this city is really under a microscope. And they're just waiting for violence to erupt everywhere so that, like we heard in the clip yesterday, they can bring in the National Guard. So nobody in the black community is supporting this dude in LA. Nobody is supporting him. Nobody is co-signing this. Nobody is going along with him, but yet you can't find him? You can't identify the female? Okay, whose car was it? You got the license plate. Who was the car registered to? Fact number 5. Crowds gathered at the scene of the shooting to pay tribute to Nipsey Hussle. The scene of the shooting was flooded by Los Angeles residents who wanted to pay tribute to Nipsey Hussle after his death. Hundreds gathered there Sunday, according to NBC Los Angeles. On April 1, multiple people were injured during a stampede as crowds continued to gather at the scene. Tributes to Nipsey Hussle poured in on social media from the entertainment and sports industries. And that's it. That's it. That's the information that we've been able to glean so far about Eric Holder. So he was Eric Holder, a.k.a. Shitty Cuz, a.k.a. I guess his rap name was Fly Mac. A wannabe rapper that obviously knew Nipsey. They obviously knew each other. And the way it's going down is, you know, he was trying to hang around, trying to hang out at the store that day, and Nipsey told him to get lost because he didn't deal with snitches. He didn't like snitches. So I guess it appeared that dude had left and he came back, and that's when he started shooting. But as I read, as you heard, as far as the police and witnesses are concerned, it seemed planned. And for him to have a car waiting for him in that alley, for him to flee in, he didn't just run on foot. He had a car waiting for him. That was his getaway. They have the make, the model, the color of the car, the license plate, and all of that. Okay, but they're still saying that this female that was driving the car is still unidentified. So you're not getting any information from the registration as far as the car is concerned. Was the car stolen? Who does the car belong to? And why would this guy, who for all intents and purposes is obvious wants to be a rapper, why would he shoot this man in broad open daylight on a Sunday in front of all of these people? People who probably could identify him and probably knew exactly who he was. Why would he do that? Why would he put himself in a position like that? To take out this high-profile individual who is also well loved in the community. Makes you wonder, was he offered a rap deal? Was he offered a record deal? Was he offered to sign with some label somewhere? You know, has he been told you go somewhere and lay low? You know, who's helping him lay low? That the streets can't even find him. Like I said, you got all kind of law enforcement looking for him. You got the LAPD. You probably got the LA. You probably got the sheriff's department in Los Angeles. You got FBI. You got Homeland Security. You got all of these agencies looking for this man. Plus the streets are looking for him, and can't nobody find him. Because he done brought heat. Ain't nobody trying to cover for him. Ain't nobody trying to cover for him. But he can't be found. The police have worked tirelessly to find him. Now they need the public's help. So is he laying low somewhere? How did him, the car, and the female disappear so quick? And again, if this is a gang hit, why? Why now? Why would they do it now? They've had plenty of opportunity to take this man out if they wanted to take him out. He lives in Los Angeles. He does business in Los Angeles. That's his hood. That's his home. And he's proud of it. There were plenty of opportunity to take him out. Why do it now? And why send somebody to do it in broad open daylight? In this well-crowded area with all these cameras and why now? Makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. And don't forget, he was known as a snitch. That might very well be the reason why his street name was Shitty Cuz. And from what I heard, it's alleged, but the sources that I heard it for know more about this situation than we do because they're right there in it. Right there in LA. From what I heard, he was an informant on paper. So he was a legitimate informant. It's almost like he was on somebody's payroll to snitch. And according to reports, that's the reason why him and Nipsey got into it that day, was because Nipsey didn't want him around. He didn't roll with that because he was a snitch, a known snitch. Remember that. And remember that I just read to you. Let's find it. According to police and witnesses, the shooting appeared to be planned. Well, it don't take a rocket scientist to figure out that was planned if you got a car waiting on you. After you do this shooting, you got a car waiting on you. So then the question becomes, why was it planned? Why did you feel like it was necessary to shoot and kill this man? What's really going on? Then I also read that they were saying that it was very, very possible that this was in no way tied to any kind of gang-related situation. They might try to push that it was gang-related because of Nipsey's affiliation with gangs and because of this guy's obvious affiliation with a gang. Well, if that's the narrative that you're trying to push, and if that's what you want to feed people and want people to believe, then who are you going to get to be the trigger man? Another gang member. I mean, that's just plain old common sense. I mean, you don't have to think outside of the box for this gang-related thing not to make sense. It ain't like you got to step way out the box to figure out that don't make sense and to figure out that this was planned. And then on top of that, you got somebody that was so well known in the communities that time his picture comes out, you got people on Twitter and Instagram and all that identifying him by his real name and his street name, but can't nobody find him. And on top of that, everybody, at least in LA, in these different neighborhoods and these different hoods, know that he's a snitch. So that's not even conspiracy. That's just fact. That's just fact. That's not conspiracy. That's fact. Which leads me into the next thing I want to speak on right quick. For all of these black folks running around here talking about, you know, we want to blame everything on the black people, want to blame everything on the boogeyman, and we don't want to take accountability when we do something wrong, and when our people do something wrong, and we're always looking for some conspiracies and all of that. Well, most of the time, if it includes somebody black against somebody white, most of the time, there's no need for a conspiracy. The proof is right there. Look at all the videos that we have of all of these innocent black men being gunned down in the street. With no weapons. They weren't posing any threat to anybody, and they are dead now, gunned down in the street. And there is video evidence of it. That's not conspiracy, that's proof. Sandra Bland was stopped for a traffic violation. She ended up dead in police custody. She's dead in police custody. That's not a conspiracy, that's a fact. Tamir Rice was at the park doing what children do, playing. Somebody decided that they were going to call 911 on him, and he's dead. And the white police officers that shot him walked away from it. These are not conspiracies. These are facts. George Zimmerman gunned down Trayvon Martin with Skittles and tea. George Zimmerman walked away from that, a free man. That's not conspiracy. That's a fact. 464 years of evidence of black men swinging from trees and being burnt, mutilated, raped, women being raped, homes being destroyed, churches being bombed with little girls and little children being killed in them. Those are not conspiracies, that's fact. Martin Luther King is dead. That's a fact. That's not a conspiracy. He's dead. And there was proof that it took more than one person to kill him. There was more than one person firing at him. Malcolm X is dead. And there was proof that there were people firing from different directions at him. That's proof. That's facts. That's not conspiracy. The drugs and the guns that were brought into the black community by the government, that's fact. That's in government reports. That's not conspiracy. So for all you black folks running around here caping and saying stupid, ignorant stuff, please be quiet. If you don't want to believe, just don't believe. But keep that foolishness in your mouth. At this point, for anybody to now say that this was not planned, that this was just some spontaneous thing, or this was gay, no. It was planned. You got somebody who on the streets was well known as a snitch, a wannabe rapper. And he probably knew how Nipsey felt about him. He probably knew Nipsey didn't want him nowhere around. I guarantee you that was not their first encounter. But you got a car waiting for you. Now you, the car, and the suspected female that was driving the car, all three of y'all missing, and can't nobody find you. Those are facts. That's not conspiracy. And I will leave the link to these articles, excuse me, in the description box so you can go read it yourself. And you can go look at his Instagram pages and Facebook pages, and you can see these pictures and things yourself. Redlining to refuse you of getting loans so you can buy a home. That's not a conspiracy, that's a fact. Jim Crow laws were facts. They weren't conspiracies. The civil rights movement with dogs and hoses being sicked on you. That wasn't conspiracy, that was fact. Slavery was not a conspiracy, it was a fact. Buck breaking was not a conspiracy, it was a fact. And we hold ours accountable all the time. What we're tired of is other people who bring about all of this mess, trying to then want to stand on the high ground and stand on the moral high ground and act like they have the right to hold anybody accountable for anything. This young man was talking about building financial legacies. This man was talking about building wealth that would go on for generations in the black community. There are not a whole lot of black people talking about that. Dr. Boyce Watkins, Dr. Claude Anderson, you know, maybe a few. Tyreek. But there are not a whole lot of black people talking about building wealth in the black community. Talking about us getting back to where we were during the Black Wall Street era. And this young black man was doing it and was working hard to teach other young black people how to do it. So if you think for 1 minute that they were going to let him stay around to accomplish all that he was doing, no. And just like I said, there've always been black people, always been black folks that were willing to do the dirty work of their white masters. Offer them something. Offer to take one of them out of the field and put them in the house. And take him from being a field nigga to being a house nigga. Offer to give him his freedom. Offer to give him that position that he wants. All you got to do is tell us, keep your eye on so and so and so, and tell us what they doing and tell us what they up to. Offer a wannabe rapper who can't make it and who can't get the right connections and who can't get close to Nipsey Hussle to try to further his rap career. Offer him a record deal. Offer to set him up. So then in 3 or 4 or 5 years, he can find himself in the same position that Nipsey was in. And once you make that offer, the only thing that has to come into play then is that black man's own envy. That black man's own hostility towards another black man that was working hard to not only further his career and better his life and the life of his family, but his whole community. And was thinking about spreading it out to other communities. Remember what we talked about? He was talking about expanding and taking these programs outside of LA to Atlanta, Washington, Baltimore. So Nipsey knew that he was being watched. Nipsey knew that he had enemies in high places. That's the reason why he said having strong enemies is a blessing. But that's always what they do. They send one that look just like you so you can let your guard down. So you can feel a little bit more comfortable. And you might not watch things as closely. You might not be as careful. You might not watch your front and your back and your sides quite as much when they send one that look like you. If they send their own, 9 times out of 10, you already suspicious. So they have to send someone that look like you to try to infiltrate. That's how all the real black organizations that could have ever really had any power and any force, that's how they all got messed up. They were infiltrated. NAACP, the Black Panthers, CORE, SCLC. They all got infiltrated. Why? How? By black folk that look just like you. That they were sent. I'll get the name of the black woman that was a communist, and while they were investigating Martin Luther King, they sent her in to infiltrate his organization to try to get what information she could on him to determine whether or not he was a communist. So just because it was somebody black that pulled the trigger, that don't mean that there were not higher powers behind it. Who put the gun in his hand? Who put the idea in his head? Just like that shovel that Oprah Winfrey used to try to dig Michael Jackson up. Yeah, she had the shovel in her hand. But who put it in her hand? So wake up, black people. Stop being ignorant. And stop letting people off. Just because it looks like the person behind it is your own skin color. And no, I'm not saying that this dude was under no kind of mind control or no mess like that. I think he was just a dude that wanted something and he wanted it bad and it was offered to him and he was willing to do whatever he had to do to get it. Meritorious ammunition. I have a video on it where I give the definition and all of that. Meritorious ammunition. Back in slavery. It was started back in slavery. Back in the 1700s. Where black slaves could get their freedom and other favors from the white masters. For protecting the master's family, and the master's property. For developing some kind of medicine or something that would cure whatever diseases or whatever ailments was bothering the white folks. Or could invent something that the white man could use to profit off of. Or would snitch on other slaves and tell what other slaves were doing. Meritorious ammunition. Look it up. And it's still going on now. So you black folks, if you don't believe, or you just don't want to believe, or you have just closed your mind to the truth, that's fine. Keep your mind closed, but also keep your mouth closed. Because nobody's talking conspiracies here. These are facts. Again, I'll leave the links to these 2 articles in the description box so you can go check on it on yourself and see for yourself. And within this heavy article, there are other links where you can go in and you can listen to, and you can see guys dude's SoundCloud. You can see his Facebook posts. You can see Instagram posts. You can see all of that. All of that is within this heavy article. But again, that's the information that I was able to glean on Eric Holder, aka Shitty Cuz, the guy that is suspected of shooting and killing Nipsey Hussle and shooting those other 2 guys that were with him. This has been KM Steps with Diluted TV. Well, we're going to bring it to you real. Y'all have a good morning, and I'll see you soon.